Why being cheap is keeping you stuck, and you don't see it. The trap you don't notice. Why being cheap is keeping you stuck, and you don't see it. You think you are being smart. You think you are saving money. You think you are doing the right thing, but something is slowly happening. Something quiet. Something dangerous. Your life is getting smaller. Not in one day, not in one big moment, but little by little, like a room that slowly loses light. At first, you don't notice. Everything still feels normal. You still wake up. You still go through your day. But deep inside, something is missing. Energy feels lower. Excitement feels weaker. Dreams feel farther away. You start to accept things you once said you would never accept. You accept a job you don't love. You accept habits that don't help you grow. You accept a life that feels safe but small. And you tell yourself it's okay. But it's not okay. Because you are not just saving money, you are shrinking your life. Let's look closer. A cheap mindset always asks one question: how can I pay less? That question sounds smart, it sounds responsible, it sounds safe, but it is incomplete because it ignores a bigger question: what am I losing by choosing less? This is the question most people never ask. They look at price, but they don't look at value. They look at cost today, but they don't look at cost tomorrow. And this is where the trap begins. Imagine this. You walk into a store. You see two options. One is cheap. One is better quality. The cheap one feels good. It feels easy. It feels like a win. You save money. You feel proud. But after some time, it breaks. It wears out. It stops working. Now you have to replace it. You spend again. You feel frustrated, but you repeat the same decision again and again. This is not just about products. This is about patterns. Patterns shape your life. When you always choose the cheapest option, you train your brain to expect less. You teach yourself this is enough, even when it is not enough, even when you deserve more. This is how limits are created, not by failure, but by small decisions repeated over time. Now think about your time. Time is more valuable than money, but many people treat it cheaply. They spend hours scrolling, watching things that do not help them grow, doing things that do not move them forward. They say, it's just a little time, but little time becomes days. Days become months. Months become years, and suddenly life feels stuck. Not because they had no chance, but because they wasted their chances. Cheap thinking is not just about money. It is about how you treat everything: your time, your energy, your effort. When you are cheap with your time, you give it to things that don't matter. When you are cheap with your energy, you avoid hard work. When you are cheap with your effort, you do the minimum. You hope for big results, but you give small actions. This creates a gap between who you are and who you could become. That gap grows over time, and one day you feel it. You feel behind. You feel confused. You feel stuck. You start asking, why is my life not changing? But the answer is simple. Nothing changed because your decisions did not change. Life responds to what you do, not what you wish. Now let's talk about comfort. Cheap thinking loves comfort. It avoids anything that feels hard, anything that feels uncomfortable, anything that requires effort. Because discomfort feels like loss, but in reality, discomfort is growth. Every time you avoid discomfort, you avoid growth. Every time you choose easy, you choose to stay the same. Think about learning something new, a new skill, a new language, a new way of thinking. It feels hard at the beginning. It feels slow. It feels uncomfortable. A cheap mindset says, this is too much effort, so you stop. But a growth mindset says, this is how I grow, so you continue. This is the difference. One avoids pain, the other uses pain to grow. Now imagine your future. Two paths. One path is easy, comfortable, safe. The other path is harder, uncertain, uncomfortable. Most people choose the easy path because it feels good now. But the easy path leads to a hard life. The hard path leads to an easier life. This is a truth many people learn too late. Cheap thinking is not just about saving money. It is about avoiding effort, avoiding growth, avoiding responsibility. And that is why it keeps you stuck. Because growth always requires investment. Investment of time, investment of energy, investment of effort. Sometimes investment of money. But more importantly, investment of mindset.
You must be willing to give something to become something. This is where many people stop. They want success. They want confidence. They want a better life, but they are not willing to invest. They want results without cost, but that does not exist. Everything valuable has a price, and the price is not always money. Sometimes the price is discipline. Sometimes the price is patience. Sometimes the price is consistency. Cheap thinking tries to avoid that price, but when you avoid the price, you also avoid the reward. This is the hidden truth. You are not stuck because life is unfair. You are stuck because you keep choosing the lowest option, the easiest path, the smallest effort, the cheapest decision. And those choices create your reality. Every day, you are voting for the person you become. Every small decision matters. When you choose growth, you move forward. When you choose comfort, you stay where you are. There is no neutral choice. Now, pause for a moment. Look at your life. Look at your habits. Look at your decisions. Ask yourself one honest question. Am I choosing value or am I choosing cheap? Because that answer is shaping your future right now. And the most dangerous part is this. You don't see it happening. You don't see the opportunities you missed. You don't see the version of yourself you could become. You only see your current life, and you think this is all there is. But it is not. There is more for you, much more. But to reach it, you must first see the truth. Being cheap is not protecting you. It is limiting you. It is keeping you small. And until you change this mindset, nothing else will change. This is where your transformation begins. Not with money, not with luck, but with awareness. You must see the trap before you can escape it. And now you are starting to see it. This is the first step. The next step is harder. You must choose differently. Not once, not sometimes, but every day. Because your future is built by what you choose today. And today, you have a choice. Continue the same pattern or break it. Your life depends on that decision. Part 2. The hidden cost that is stealing your future. There is a cost you cannot see. It does not appear on a bill. It does not show in your bank account. It does not send you a warning, but it is real, and it is stealing your future. Every time you choose cheap, you are not just saving money, you are giving something up, something bigger, something more important. You are giving up opportunity. Opportunity is quiet. It does not knock loudly. It does not wait forever. It appears for a moment, then it disappears. And most of the time, it asks for something in return. Time, effort, money, courage.
A cheap mindset sees that and says, it's too expensive. So you say no. You stay where you are, and you feel safe. But what you don't see is what you just lost. You lost a chance to grow. You lost a chance to move forward. You lost a chance to change your life. But you don't feel it immediately. That is why it is dangerous. Because invisible loss feels like no loss at all. Let's make it simple. Imagine two people. They start at the same place. Same skills, same knowledge, same dreams. One person decides to invest. They buy books, they take courses, they learn new skills. It feels hard. It costs time. It costs effort. Sometimes it costs money. The other person waits. They say, I will do it later. I don't need it right now. It's too expensive. So they stay the same. Days pass, then weeks, then months. At first, there is no difference. Both lives look the same. But slowly, something changes. The first person starts to grow. They think differently. They act differently. They see opportunities others don't see. The second person stays the same. Same habits, same thinking, same results. Now the gap begins. Small at first, almost invisible, but it keeps growing. Because growth compounds. Just like money. Small improvements lead to bigger results. And those results create even more growth. This is how success is built, not in one moment, but through repeated investment. Now, look again. The first person paid a price, but they gained something: knowledge, skills, confidence. The second person saved money, but they lost something: growth, opportunity, future potential. So who really paid more? This is the hidden cost, the cost of not investing, the cost of waiting, the cost of choosing cheap over choosing growth. And the worst part is this: you cannot measure it. You cannot see what your life could have been. You cannot compare the path you didn't take. So you think everything is fine. But deep inside, you feel something is missing. You feel stuck. Not because you failed, but because you never tried. Now think about tools. The right tools can change everything. They save time. They increase quality. They make work easier. But a cheap mindset says, I don't need this. So you struggle. You take longer. You get tired faster. You produce less. And you think this is normal. But it is not normal. It is a result of your choices. You saved money, but you lost time. And time is something you can never get back. Now think about risk. Every opportunity has uncertainty. There is no guarantee. That is true. But there is also another truth. If you never try, you will never win. Cheap thinking focuses on fear. What if I lose? What if it doesn't work? So you stay safe. You avoid risk. But you also avoid reward. Because reward lives on the other side of risk. This is where many people stay stuck. They wait for certainty, but certainty never comes. Life does not work that way. Growth requires movement. Movement requires risk, and risk requires courage. Now let's go deeper. Cheap thinking creates a habit of holding back. You hold back your time. You hold back your energy. You hold back your effort. You never go all in. You stay in the middle, not failing, but not growing, just existing. This is the most dangerous place because it feels comfortable, but it leads nowhere. Now imagine your future again. Years from now, you look back, you see your life, and you ask yourself one question: What if? What if you had tried? What if you had invested? What if you had taken that step? These questions hurt because there is no answer, only regret. And regret is expensive, more expensive than any risk, more expensive than any investment, because you cannot change it. You cannot go back. This is why the hidden cost matters, because it is not about money. It is about your life, the life you could have built, the person you could have become. Now let's talk about something deeper, your identity. Every decision you make tells a story about who you are. When you always choose cheap, you tell yourself, I don't need more. I don't deserve more. I will stay here. At first, it feels small, just a thought, but thoughts become beliefs, and beliefs become identity. You start to see yourself as someone who plays small, someone who avoids risk, someone who avoids growth. And once that identity is formed, it becomes hard to change, because you act based on who you believe you are. This is why cheap thinking is so powerful. It does not just affect your decisions, it changes how you see yourself. And when you see yourself as small, you live a small life. Now pause again. Think about your last few decisions. The things you said no to, the opportunities you avoided, the risks you didn't take. Ask yourself honestly, was it really about money, or was it about fear? Fear of losing, fear of failing, fear of discomfort. Most of the time, it is fear, and fear hides behind the word expensive. It sounds logical, it sounds smart, but it is not always true. Sometimes too expensive means too uncomfortable. Sometimes not worth it means I am afraid. This is the truth many people avoid, but if you want to grow, you must face it. You must see it clearly, because once you see it, you can change it. Now here is a powerful shift. Stop asking, how much does this cost? Start asking, what will this return? This one question can change your life, because it moves your focus from loss to gain, from fear to possibility, from small thinking to big thinking. When you think like this, you stop being controlled by price. You start being guided by value. And value leads to growth. Growth leads to opportunity. Opportunity leads to a better life. This is how the cycle changes, from shrinking to expanding, from stuck to moving forward. But it starts with awareness. It starts with one decision, a different decision, a better decision. Not the cheapest, but the most valuable. Because your future is not built by what you save, it is built by what you invest. And right now, you are always investing. The only question is, are you investing in growth, or are you investing in staying the same? Part 3. Become the person who builds a bigger life. Now you see the truth. Now you understand the cost. Now you feel the gap between where you are and where you could be. This is the moment that matters, because awareness alone does not change your life. Action does. You must become a different person, not in one day, not in one big step, but in small choices, repeated every day. This is how transformation works. You do not wake up successful, you build success. You do not suddenly become confident, you train confidence. You do not find a better life, you create it. And it starts with one shift. Stop being cheap, start becoming valuable. This is not about money, this is about mindset. A high-value person does not ask, how can I pay less? They ask, how can I grow more? This one question changes everything, because it changes your focus from saving to building, from fear to growth, from small thinking to big vision. Now let's make it real. What does a high-value life look like? It is not about luxury. It is not about showing off. It is about standards. Standards in how you think. Standards in how you act. Standards in what you accept. Your life will rise to the level of your standards. If you accept average, you will live an average life. If you accept less, you will receive less. This is not punishment. This is alignment. Life gives you what you tolerate. So if you want more, you must demand more from yourself, not from others. This is where real power begins. Now look at your habits. Your daily actions are a reflection of your standards. Do you wake up with purpose, or do you waste your morning? Do you focus on growth, or do you escape into distraction? Do you finish what you start, or do you quit when it gets hard? These small choices define your life, not your intentions, not your dreams, your actions. This is where many people get stuck. They want a better life, but they keep the same habits. They want change, but they avoid discomfort. They want growth, but they stay in their comfort zone. That will never work, because growth requires change, and change requires effort. You must be willing to do what is uncomfortable, again and again, until it becomes your new normal. Now let's talk about effort. Effort is not optional. Effort is the price of progress. Everything valuable requires effort. Your skills, your health, your confidence, your success, all of it is built through effort. But many people try to save effort. They do the minimum. They wait for motivation. They stop when it gets hard. This is cheap effort, and cheap effort creates cheap results. If you want a valuable life, you must give valuable effort, full effort, consistent effort, disciplined effort. Not sometimes, every day, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, because that is where growth happens. When it is hard, when it is boring, when it is uncomfortable, that is where you build strength.
Now think about identity again. Who are you becoming with your daily actions? Are you becoming someone who avoids challenge or someone who faces it? Are you becoming someone who plays small or someone who builds something bigger? Your identity is not fixed. It is built, decision by decision, action by action, day by day. This is powerful because it means you can change, you can become more, but only if you choose differently. Now here is a simple rule. Choose growth over comfort, again and again. When you want to quit, continue. When you want to avoid, face it. When you want to stay safe, take the step. These are the moments that shape your future. Now let's talk about investing. A high-value person thinks like an investor. They do not see life as a list of costs. They see life as a series of investments. They invest in knowledge because knowledge opens doors. They invest in skills because skills create income. They invest in health because health creates energy. They invest in environment because environment shapes mindset. They invest in time because time is life. This is how you build a bigger life, not by holding on, but by investing wisely. Now understand this clearly. Not every investment gives immediate results. Some take time. Some take patience. Some take consistency. But they always give return if you stay committed. This is where most people fail. They expect fast results. When they don't see them, they stop. They go back to comfort. They go back to cheap thinking. And the cycle continues. You must break that cycle. You must trust the process. You must keep going even when results are slow, because growth is happening, even if you cannot see it yet. Now imagine your future again, but this time you chose differently. You invested in yourself. You gave full effort. You raised your standards. You chose growth every day. Slowly, things changed. You became stronger, more confident,
more capable. Opportunities started to appear, not by luck, but because you were ready. This is how success works. It meets preparation.
Now you look back again, but this time you feel proud. Not because it was easy, but because you did the work. You paid the price. You became the person who builds a better life. This is the goal. Not just success, but becoming someone who can create success again and again. Now bring it back to today. Right now, this moment, you have a choice. You always have a choice. Choose comfort or choose growth. Choose cheap or choose value. Choose fear or choose possibility. No one else can make this decision for you. No one else can build your life for you. It is your responsibility. Your life is the result of your choices, and your future is being built right now, with every action, with every decision, with every moment. So choose carefully. Choose intentionally. Choose growth. Because in the end, it is not about how much you saved. It is not about how much you avoided. It is not about how safe you played. It is about who you became. And who you become depends on what you do today. So stop being cheap, not just with money, but with your time, your energy, your effort, your potential. Give more, do more, become more. Because you are capable of a bigger life, a stronger life, a more meaningful life. But only if you choose it every single day.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Self-Study Every Day for more helpful lessons. Leave a comment and tell me what you want to learn next.